Welcome to another episode of HF Conversations. I hope that you've been enjoying these videos every week. They come out on Wednesdays, so be sure to subscribe in YouTube or in Apple Podcasts so you can be on top of all these conversations. And today, I'm joined by my friend and coworker, Alex Wilson.
Hey James, how we doing,
Hey,
man?
thanks for being on the conversation
Thanks
today.
for having me. For sure.
I've known Alex for almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was an intern here at Highlands Fellowship, and even before that, played guitar at our Johnson City campus with Alex, and so we go way back. So why don't you just kind of talk about what you do here and kind of your role at Highlands?
Yeah. So I'm the worship pastor and kind of oversee our worship ministry at all of our locations. We have 6 locations and online and a couple of different venues as well. So we do country music in one venue and traditional hymns as well. So I get to work with musicians, get to listen to great music, and hopefully coach people into making better music, and even more than that, worshiping the Lord together.
Yeah. So what we kind of want to dig into for just a few minutes today is about leading with authenticity in worship and really just in life and discipleship, and how can we be authentic? It's kind of a buzzword for people say, millennials want authenticity, but honestly, everyone wants authenticity, right? Like at the end of the day, all of us want something that's real, that's meaningful. So I guess my question to you is, how can we craft services, right? Because we have 6 campuses and all this stuff going on. We can't just wing it. So we have to plan. So how can we plan and also ask God to move and to disrupt that? How do those things work together for us?
Yeah. There's definitely some mechanics that go into that, but authenticity is not something new. It's not something that just arrived on the scene. I mean, it's definitely something that even years ago, people can tell when you're real, but they can tell when you're not. Yeah. And that shines even more so when you're on a stage trying to lead people, whether it's in song or speak or whatever it is that you're trying to do. And so people want to be able to connect with you on a real level. They want to be able to hear from your heart, and they want to be able to sense, okay, that's a real person with real struggles. With real success in their life, with real things that happen in their life, and so we look at how do we empower people to be real on stage, but in this massive structure of 6 campuses, and trying to empower all of our campuses to succeed and have a great worship experience every weekend. So.
So, I think one thing that you have really stepped into in your role that you do really well is helping encourage and coach and disciple other people. So what are some kind of just practical ways that you are kind of speaking into those people that maybe are even a couple hours away from here?
Yeah, that's something we're always trying to figure out how to do better, and I'm sure that we can continue to do that better. We don't always succeed and empower people as well as we could, but at the same time, like we try to make efforts. So like today, I'm getting ready to record a little video with my iPhone and say to our worship leaders and musical directors for this week, and hey, we've got a special element coming up, and here's kind of what we have in mind for that. But I want you to connect with the Lord, and I'm not going to give you a script, but hey, here's kind of the idea. Here's the element right before that. Here's the element right after that. And think through that and spend some time with Jesus this week. Just kind of think through, what does God want to say through me? And I can't tell you exactly what to say. I just want you to be able to connect with the Lord, and then He'll speak through you. Yeah,
that's cool. So maybe you're watching this and you are a worship leader, or you lead some sort of creative team or something like that. One of the best things I think that you can do is to invest in the people around you and to give them opportunities and to expect more from them. I think so many times we don't expect enough from people, and so we don't get enough. Maybe you want your team to be better, and you're like, if I just had these people, I'd have a better team. But the truth is, if you would invest more in the people you have, you just make your team better, and then you'd find, but it's kind of like a exponential thing. If we're faithful in what we do have, as God blesses us and brings more stuff our way, we can actually manage that. So, in one of our first episodes with Alan, we talked about how, as you lead people, as you invest in people, there's going to be room to sort of replace yourself, right? And so I love the quote from Andy Stanley, which is basically that there's always room for yourself. If you replace yourself, you'll always have a place for yourself if you replace yourself. There it is. And but that's scary, right?
Yeah.
Like especially as a musician or as an artist, or you're like, this is my thing. Do not touch. This is like my thing. But the truth is, and what we've seen here at Highlands is that as we let go and equip other people, it's amazing what happens, right? So,
absolutely. So like we try to create, and once again, we don't always do this perfectly, but we try to create an atmosphere of just, hey, feedback. We're going to give you feedback. We expect you to grow.
Yeah.
You're not, the best that you bring today is not the best that you can bring tomorrow. We believe that. And so we want to see in whatever area you're in our ministry, we want to see you take a next step. And so, it's always a tough conversation sometimes. It can be to say, hey, here's an area of growth for you. I don't know that I'm always ready for that myself, but it's something that's needed for all of us, man, to have that just excitement to learn something new, to grow to that next level, and really to lead with authenticity. A huge part of that. When I was thinking about this, I was looking through some scriptures, and one that came to my mind was from Hosea 6, and it talks about how God desires our heart, to be right. It's not about the sacrifice that I can bring, but it's about the heart. And that's what we want people to see from stage. We want them to be able to see our heart and to be able to connect with us through us telling a story about something that happened with me and my kids in some way that I messed up, or some, really cool moment I had with my wife, or whatever it is. Just different things that can really help people see that I'm a real person and help them see how I live out my faith. And maybe that in turn will inspire them to live out their faith in a similar way. Yeah,
that's great. So leading with authenticity, it's not just about being the smartest person in the room or even the best equipped person. It's really just about bringing your sort of best self, which is your most honest self, forward. And that can be scary to do from stage. It can be scary to do, really in any form. But it's so worth it when you can be authentic and people can receive that and connect with you as a real person. And then as you're sort of leading them, guiding them, directing them in whatever area, I think that they're just much more likely to actually follow that than if you're just like a robot, right? Because the truth is, like, there's tons of great music out there. If they just wanted a great musical experience, they wouldn't have to come be a part of like a Sunday gathering. They could just, you can just listen to music in your car. But there's something special about, and we talk a lot about, there's something special that happens in a room when you can kind of read that. And so I love, really even from this fall till now, like how much we've pushed our worship leaders to really invest in the people that are there. That they can be their people, that they're the worship leader for that campus. Like it matters what they do.
And what we found really as we give more and more just freedom, and to responsibility to those leaders on site, those worship leaders, that God may have a specific word for somebody in the congregation. He may have a specific word that he wants to say, and he can't really say that. If I write a script in my office, and that might be easier to write a script and say, hey, everybody say this on Sunday. But really, God wants to speak a real specific word to somebody. And we've seen it several times recently where that's happened, where worship leaders have been given a free moment, and they've taken that and they've said something, and maybe somebody at a different campus said something completely different, but God spoke very clearly to somebody in the congregation or on staff through those individual pieces. And that's the beauty of authentic leadership, is when we're being real, it can connect in a deeper way than I could personally. Because I can only be in one place at one time.
Even Alex times 6 is not as good as 6 people that are in those communities that are invested in those people. So let's talk for just a second about some songs that we like. What are some stuff that we're doing that are coming up? What's kind of making you excited these days?
So, a lot of churches, a lot of folks have been doing Reckless Love by Bethel. That's one that there's been several guys on staff here that have been beating down my door, sending me email links every once in a while. Hey, have you heard this song? Hey, how about now? Did you listen to that link I sent you? Great song, and we're excited about doing that one here pretty soon. Overcome is one by Elevation. All Hail King Jesus by Jeremy Riddle. Excited about that one. We just recently in our adult services brought in Here Now which is a Hillsong United. Love that song,
Yeah.
and it's really connected super well. Personally, I'm listening to it's called After All These Years by Brian and Jen Johnson. I go for some of the slower stuff, but man, it's just beautiful. They brought in an orchestra, and it really just takes me to another place, and love to hear the authenticity coming out in their lyrics and their heart on that album. Would encourage you to check that out.
Yeah, that's cool. So I mean, there's so much music out. Like it's literally so hard to pick music. Even from like 8 or 10 years ago, like there's just an unbelievable amount of great stuff. So
and for us too, like we love to write music.
Yeah, that's right.
That plays into authentic leadership for us too. Is that the truest expression of our musical gift is something that comes from our heart and from our church, and so we take great pains. We take time and schedule it out and say, hey, we're gonna write some music. We're gonna work on our music. And put that in front of our church. And when we do that, we see that our church really responds to what God's saying to us as a team. And, it's not that, who are we to write music? We've said that so many times. There's so much good stuff out there. Can I write a better song than Hillsong? Well, probably not. But maybe it's more, it hits home for our church, and maybe it's the right song that our church needs to hear. Maybe it's something that God has spoken into us. The first message of the year, these lyrics and this melody just came flooding into my head as I'm listening to Pastor Mark speak, and that it's just like, okay, our church needs to hear that and needs to sing that, and so that's why we write original music. I'm sure James can tell you kind of where you can get some of that, and hopefully you'll see some more of that on social media soon. Yeah,
so if you go to the Highlands Fellowship YouTube channel, which if you're watching the video, you're watching this probably on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio podcast, just search for Highlands Fellowship. There's a video called Wonder of You, which we shot out in this field. It was very cool with a lot of the worship leaders from all the campuses that got together and did this sort of acoustic version. And then I'm sure we're going to put out more stuff, this spring and this summer from Highlands Fellowship. So hopefully it's an encouragement to you as you hear those things and as you hear the authenticity in it. And I think a big takeaway for me from this conversation and thinking about authenticity is sometimes the best thing you can do for your context isn't always just the flashiest or the, well, this song's so popular, so we're going to do it. It's like it takes time and it takes prayer and it takes investment. But as you invest in your teams, as you invest in people, you're going to know a lot better what you need to do. So it really is a sort of a self-fulfilling thing. As you invest in people more, you're going to be more authentic. And as you're more authentic, it's going to be easier to invest. So they really go hand in hand. So, and this isn't just for worship leaders, right? Like this isn't just like, it's just about music. This is about anything you do, because all of us are leaders in some capacity, right? Like all of us have people who look up to us in some way, and so we want to lead with authenticity. We want to be honest. We want to be our best self, but not a fake self. And that's so hard in the culture that we live in to not just be sort of our Instagram profile. But to be a real person.
Something I'd really recommend is that that authenticity that you're looking for, practice that in a group of 10 or 12 people. That is, it's so easy to think, okay, once I'm on stage, I'll just do it right. But some of the most awkward worship experiences I've tried to lead have been for a group of like 7 people in a living room, and that's where I've learned some of the most important lessons about leading worship and leading people in an authentic way. So I'd really challenge you to take that step, and those opportunities, I guarantee you, will be easy to find. And once you find those opportunities and express that gift there, that will serve you so much more. What we do off stage is so much more important in many ways than what we do on stage. What we do on stage is just that tiny piece, that tiny reflection of what happens throughout the rest of your week.
Yeah. Well, Alex, thank you so much for being on this episode of Conversations, and excited. We'll have to have you back soon. We'll talk more worship stuff. If there are things that you want us to talk about on the show, we would love to talk about that and to consider that. Just use the hashtag HFConversations, or you can shoot Highlands Fellowship a message and we'll get in touch with you. So thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe, and we will be back next Wednesday with another conversation.